Before I start, I just want to remind Simon that the no doesn't mean no, it means I know a lot. Cool, thank you everybody. Thank you, Simon. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today. I look forward to taking you through the financial framework that underpins our Capital Markets Day. I'm excited to lead this next chapter in Sasol's journey, leveraging my many years of Sasol experience, and it's a company I care deeply about. As Simon has outlined, we are executing against a clear roadmap to strengthen our foundation business and to lay a platform for future growth and transformation. This, however, needs to be supported by a robust financial framework. Over the next few slides, I'll take you through what this means, how we're putting it into action, and the future pathway. Our robust financial framework is built on 4 clear and connected priorities. The first priority, improve sustainable free cash flow. We are doing this through a combination of key levers. First is restoring operational performance across the business, which increases our volumes and supports top-line revenue growth. Secondly, we have stepped up capital and cost discipline. We've done a comprehensive review of spending across all of our businesses. This review ensures that capital and costs are directed towards assets that deliver real value. We are also moving away from one-off cost initiatives and focusing more on processes that embed cost discipline across the organization and don't allow inflation to erode our competitiveness. Thirdly, through Christian and the marketing and sales team, we're driving margin improvement through prioritizing higher margin channels to market. And lastly, we will continue to optimize working capital by implementing integrated business planning across all of our businesses. The second priority is to deleverage the balance sheet. This is critical to building financial resilience as we navigate an increasingly volatile macro environment. The third priority, reinstate dividends when we have a stronger balance sheet, and then make larger focused investments in our business that improve returns going forward, in line with the fourth priority, which is a disciplined capital allocation. All of this is underpinned by proactive risk management, ensuring that we respond to the changes in our operating environment that Simon alluded to, and to mitigate risks and accelerate opportunities. Our robust framework and priorities are essential, but in order to deliver a compelling value proposition, it's important and helpful to understand how this translates into EBITDA delivery. Before we dive into the numbers, it's worth noting that the macro environment remains volatile and difficult to predict. However, we cannot wait for the macros and are focusing on our controllables through the delivery of self-help initiatives, which are already underway. Looking ahead to FY28, you'll see we're targeting an EBITDA of 64 to 71 billion rand. This is informed by the macroeconomic assumptions as well as the controllable elements. In Southern Africa, we are anticipating more macroeconomic pressure from lower oil prices and refining margins, but we're actively offsetting this through higher production volumes across our different sites and significant cost improvements. Victor will share more on these later. FY28 EBITDA is therefore expected to be between 50 and 55 billion rand. In our international chemicals business, we've already seen significant progress from our self-help initiatives in the first half of FY25, where EBITDA has almost doubled. Looking ahead, we're targeting EBITDA of between 14 to 16 billion rand, 3 times higher than FY24. Approximately 70% of this improvement will come from management actions, which Ansha will share to improve margins and reduce costs, and the balance supported by a gradual recovery in the market, which has experienced a prolonged downturn over the past few years. Overall, we're confident that our EBITDA delivery is being driven largely by actions within our control, despite the uncertain macroeconomic environment, and this gives us confidence that we're on the path to implementing management interventions or converting management interventions into stronger earnings performance. Beyond this period, the sustained cost savings will position us well to maintain our profitability going forward. One of the key items that we've raised is cost discipline. We made significant progress in keeping cost increases below the rate of inflation, which is already and will have a positive impact on our cash generation this year. Our goal is to hold the cost base largely flat in nominal terms and to deliver savings of 10 to 15 billion rand by FY28. I've already touched on some of these levers driving this outcome, but let me highlight a few more. On external spend, we're improving strategic sourcing and contracting. This includes identifying opportunities to centralize procurement across the business, avoiding duplication, and unlocking better pricing through economies of scale and a buy better approach. In addition, scope will be reviewed to ensure that we spend less. We're following a similar approach on internal spend. On utilities, we're shifting towards lower cost renewable energy, which not only reduces our costs over time, but also supports our decarbonization goals. And finally, we're continuing with our asset portfolio optimization, which will continue in international chemicals and extend to Southern Africa to reduce costs and save capital further. Ultimately, this is about embedding cost discipline to improve our competitiveness and enhance the quality of our earnings over the longer term. Our capital framework sets out the principles that guide how we allocate capital in order to create sustainable value for our shareholders. It's about finding the right balance between investing in the business, the balance sheet, and returning capital to shareholders. Our first order maintained capital allocation is directed to ensure safe, reliable, and compliant operations. We're targeting 23 to 31 billion per annum in nominal terms over the next 3 years, with lower capital in years with no major shutdown. In addition to maintain capital, we've included an allocation of 1 billion in FY26 and 2 billion from FY27 onwards for selective growth and transformation projects, ensuring that we continue to look towards the future. A key example is advancing our renewable energy ambitions. Any step up in the selective capital allocation will be dependent on the successful recycling of carbon tax in South Africa, which we are actively engaging with stakeholders to expand the definition of this expenditure that qualifies and allows for the transformation agenda in South Africa to be self-funded from carbon tax revenue. The second priority is reducing debt. We are targeting net debt sustainably below $3 billion excluding leases, which equates to approximately 1 to 1.5 times net debt to EBITDA through the cycle. In order to do this as quickly as possible, we will prioritize deleveraging over all other uses of capital, including the reinstatement of dividends. This represents a step change from our previous $4 billion target. However, we believe it is a prudent adjustment given the significantly elevated and potentially prolonged macro volatility we are facing. We know that our shareholders have been patient with us in this regard, and we appreciate the support to sustainably deleverage in the short term. Only once we have sustainably achieved this threshold will we consider reinstating dividends. We still believe that paying 30% of free cash flow strikes the right balance, enabling shareholders to share in our success while maintaining flexibility to reinvest in growth, transformation, and/or return additional capital to shareholders. Larger grow and transform capital will be deployed into the business, aligned with our strategy and core capabilities. Every investment will be subject to clear hurdle rate returns and rigorous evaluation to ensure that it's value accretive and enhances the long-term value of our business. Sarushan will share more on this. Turning to some more details on our first order capital profile, maintenance spend, which includes shutdowns and renewables, continues to make up the majority of our first order capital spend, equating to approximately 60%. Over the past year, we've made good progress in driving greater efficiency in our capital profile without compromising on safety or asset integrity. This includes more strategic sourcing and better planning. For example, we have extended the shutdown intervals from 4 to 5 years in Secunda, which unlocks material cost and time benefits as evidenced in the lower capital spend for FY26. Our future first order capital spend is expected to be 5 to 6 billion per annum, lower than our previously guided range of 29 to 36 billion rand per annum. This equates to approximately 15 to 20 billion rand in cumulative savings over the next 3 years. A key priority remains ensuring stable and competitive feedstock supply. As capital spend in the PSA gas project in Mozambique reduces, we're making sure that mining receives the capital that it needs to ensure long-term coal supply. Herman will share some more details on that. Both capital and non-capital options will, however, be pursued. As the portfolio evolves, particularly within our optimized ERR, we are unlocking further reductions in capital, now targeting 4 to 7 billion rand from the previously guided 11 to 16 billion rand at half-year end. At this stage, we are prioritizing non-capital solutions wherever possible. Spend on Clean Fuels 2 and our environmental compliance program is also expected to reduce with compliance achieved. When we bring together the operating and financial plans, we see a clear pathway to reduce debt, improve our resilience, and in so doing, lift our enterprise value and the associated equity share over the next 2 to 3 years. This will further help to improve our credit rating, reduce debt, and consequently lower the financing costs. We expect to achieve our net debt target between FY27 and FY28, positioning us to restore dividends at this time. The range reflects the sensitivities to macros and the pace of delivery of our turnaround initiatives. We've also stress tested this under different a lower oil price scenario, which gives us confidence in our ability to reach this milestone and then shift our focus to a more strategic deployment of capital in line with our revised capital allocation framework. I think the question on everybody's mind is, given the ongoing macro volatility, I want to highlight how we are positioned to respond. In terms of resilience, we have a strong liquidity position with more than $3 billion on hand. That includes a healthy cash buffer, unutilized facilities, and no immediate debt maturities. We maintain a proactive hedging program for both oil price and rand-dollar exchange rate, which looks more than 12 months ahead. We've completed this program for FY25 and more than 90% complete for FY26 while increasing our hedge cover ratio. It's worth noting that Sasol is more sensitive to the rand-dollar exchange rate than to the oil price, and as such, it's important to look at the rand oil price when assessing the impact on our business. Should markets deteriorate further and for longer, we have additional levers available to protect our financial position. The priority, however, is to ride through the current unknowns, avoid short-term decisions, and not lose focus on our core operating improvements, which will create a more resilient company going forward. To summarize, everything I've outlined today is focused on delivering what we can control with discipline, urgency, and clear targets. We are driving sustainable free cash flow supported by improved earnings and operational performance, tighter cost and capital discipline, optimized working capital, and proactive risk management. These actions are already delivering early positive momentum, and we expect the pace of improvement to accelerate as we embed these changes more deeply. Stronger cash generation enables us to accelerate deleveraging, rebuild flexibility, and ultimately deliver value to the shareholders in the medium to longer term. We know what needs to be done, our metrics are clear, and we are fully committed to delivering and building credibility through performance. I look forward to your questions later. Thank you very much.